And now we come to my favorite panel of today, since it's about women and the youth. Despite forming half the society and playing key roles across agricultural value chains throughout the world, women are still faced with gender-based constraints, hindering their access to resources and limiting their opportunities in the agri-food sector. In developing countries, gender gaps were identified as the major driver of underperformance. Gender gaps were also classified as a key factor affecting the agriculture sector. This panel on women, youth, and innovation in challenging contexts will tackle the actions that should be taken to create a gender-balanced society and sector, and to empower women in rural areas as part of the economic recovery. Please help me welcome on stage Ms. Etty Higgins, Deputy Representative at UNICEF, Mr. Nicolas Oberlin, Deputy Country Director at World Food Programme, and the panel will be moderated by my colleague, Ms. Soha Nasser, Agri-Food Specialist at Veritech. And Dr. Armin from the World Bank, welcome.
Yeah, if you would like, you can sit here. Thank you everyone for attending this interesting panel. As my colleague Carla just said, youth are the future and women are half the society, and their impact is much more than the half. With my dear guests, I would like to start first to frame what is a challenging context, because this is what we are passing through since 2019 and even before, and we are facing a lot of challenges. So I will start with you, Mr. Nicolas, asking you about what food security context we have now in Lebanon from your work in WFP, from what you are seeing in the sector, and from your data that you are collecting.
Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me. Yes, I'm from the World Food Programme. So we're a United Nations organization that's caring about people having enough food to eat, and this is a big job because it starts with the kind of things we're seeing now, farming, and it really ends at looking if people really have access to all this delicious food or any food at all. Of course, the situation of Lebanon is now is very, very critical. It has become very critical in the last couple of years. It has always been critical, sadly, for Syrian refugees in the country. It's 1.5 million people, and Syrian refugees have traditionally been, half of them have not been able to provide enough food for themselves. With what happened since 2019, it's now 90% of the refugees who cannot afford food or other basic necessities. And in addition to this tragedy, what happened in the last couple of years is that Lebanese people have are also experiencing levels of food insecurity that have never been seen before. Almost half the Lebanese population now is not able to buy for themselves, for their family, enough food. I think what's very telling is that a basket of food for one person for 1 month, nothing special, the minimum, used to cost 40,000 Lebanese pounds in 2019, 40,000. As of today, the price of the same basket is 600,000 Lebanese pounds, so 15 times higher. So I think this, we don't want to get into the details, but food security in this country is not about production, is not about this amazing products and initiative and entrepreneurship we see here. It's really an economic problem, a social problem, a poverty problem. People cannot afford food because they have become poor or extremely poor. And of course, as usual, when there is poverty, it's the most vulnerable who are hit first. Discrimination or vulnerabilities such as the ones related to gender and other, they are the ones that weigh heavier and that make you even more likely to be in trouble. So this is what we're seeing, and it's really a concern. It's really a concern. Half this country not being able to feed themselves and their family. So I don't want to be too negative, but this is what we all have to face really together.
Yeah, unfortunately, we need to set the frame for this discussion because, as you said, this is a matter of accessibility and the food security, and this is where it hit most. It is for the vulnerable people, for the rural communities, for the women, the youth, etc. So thank you for this introduction and for framing the problem, because this is the context where we are now. And this is what we are dealing with. So here I will pass the dialogue to Dr. Armin, who is with us from the World Bank and worked a lot on the digitization of the agricultural sector, but also empowering women in the agricultural sector. So can you just give us also the big picture of where we stand now, about the presence of women in the agriculture, their power in the agriculture, how much they are empowered, and their role in general in innovation?
Okay, thank you. Okay, you can hear me. First, thanks a lot for the invitation. It's amazing expo, and I think that all stands are so innovative and interesting. So thanks a lot for this experience and the invitation. So building on the issue of the food security, I want to add that women are especially vulnerable to food insecurity in Lebanon, because you have around 18.5% of the households headed by women, and usually considering the paychecks, usually around 6.5% less for the same job that for a man. So you have already a high gender inequality in the country, and many women are also occupying jobs like teachers, doctors, that were especially hit hard by the financial crisis, because obviously the salaries of the teachers became dramatically low. So they're very vulnerable. And in the agriculture sector, it's even more kind of an extreme, because you have around 43% of the agriculture workers women, but you have an extremely high informality. So if you look on the data, you see probably officially it's a 3% of your labor are occupied in agriculture, but 85% of the sector, it's informal. So you don't know the exact numbers, and the last census was done in 2010. But what we know that around 40% of agriculture workers are women. Of course, depending on the value chain, you will have, for example, in the dairy value chain, a higher number of the women, or in the processing, or let's say in a horticulture, picking the berries, etc., right? The manual job, but it's very informal, it's very unpaid. And even if you look on the overall agriculture sector, in terms of the poverty, you have the highest numbers of the poverty, around 40% of the ag workers are below the threshold. So it's a big challenge, but at the same time, agriculture sector, it's possible to invest and make it more productive, efficient, and more, overall environmentally sustainable as well. And when we were working in Lebanon and overall in the whole region, especially when you speak about Lebanon, the first kind of the feedback that we're receiving, youth is not interested in agriculture sector. You look at the landholders, majority holders are over 50. So it's an aging population. You look the holders under 35, it's around 10%. So like youth doesn't want to work there. It's not interesting. And then we broke the stereotypes. So together with Veritech and Mashrek Gender Facility, hosted by the World Bank, we organized a digital ag for hair competition. And really, I think it broke completely the opinion of the sector, because the idea was that we were looking female leaders to organize teams and come up with solutions in agriculture that promote efficiency, equity, and environmental sustainability. And for a country like in Lebanon, where people think that nobody wants to work in agriculture, we had within a month 280 teams applying and submitting their innovative ideas. That was below, I mean, it was really not expected numbers. We did a similar exercise in Egypt, where the agriculture is actually much on a much higher scale. We didn't receive that numbers. In Lebanon, we received. And I was one of the members to do a pre-selection. I was looking on the video pitches. The dedication, enthusiasm that you could see from the pitches, the people wanted to bring a change. And these were not farmers, these were like engineers, IT experts, you know, working some with ag specialists. And it was incredible. I think it's, especially for people, and we had in the team who do not work in agriculture, but more social aspect, they were like, wow, there's an interest. So you see, and I think digitalization and innovation is a chance to bring young people back. And I saw a couple of already innovative solutions on precision agriculture, improve the feed and barley, you know, to reduce your exports. So there's a hope and there's an interest, but we need really to create enabling environment and build on this experience and dedication and, you know, will of people to bring a change to the country and improve the situation. So yeah, women are very vulnerable, but they can also bring a change.
Yeah, they are powerful as
yes.
well. Yeah, definitely. You brought nostalgia to me now, talking about Digital Ag for Her since I was working on it. And it was really overwhelming, emotionally overwhelming, and seeing these young women really focusing on this. And when we go from the accessibility for women and their vulnerability on this side, I think we talk about more the utilization in the food security when it comes to children and this side of the society for the youth, etc. But here, I don't want just to focus on the food security, but also the role of these youth in the agriculture in general, and their engagement and how it changed before and after the crisis, how things are going now. So, Sati, please.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the invitation to speak today, and congratulations to Berry Tech on this amazing event. I think we're all inspired by seeing so much innovation under one roof again. From the UNICEF side, it's a very timely and relevant discussion. Together with our nutrition partners, including the World Food Programme, last week, we actually released nutrition data showing that the rates of anemia amongst both Syrian and Lebanese women and children was actually very, very high, over 40%. So really, we see the need to do things differently, given the current context. And UNICEF has actually been working with young people consistently since 2017 on the agri-tech and agri-innovation. And we've really been inspired by the ideas that young people have and women have brought to the fore. You'll see some of those ideas in our booth as well today, so I would definitely encourage you to go and take a look. I'm not a technical expert. Luckily, we have some amazing partners from Nawaya, from Injaz, and of course the Berry Tech team, who've been supporting over 900 startups through our generation of innovative leaders, our GEAL labs, since 2017. They've supported in total over 300 agri-tech startups of the 900. And we're very happy that still today, even 70% of these startups are actually still functioning, which is, I think, much higher than the industry average. So I just wanted to maybe go through some of these some of the hopeful statistics that we have. Of the 300 agri-tech startups, over 55% of these are actually, we've got some nice pictures up there as well of some of them. Over 55% of them are actually led by women. And the bad news is getting quite a lot of coverage at the moment. So we hope that some of this good news will inspire other women to also enter the sector, women and youth. So one of these pictures, one of the earlier ones, is a startup called BioWaste. We had hoped that others would make it here today, but they didn't because of the snow in Bacca. But the bio waste, you'll see it as an automated process where we take organic waste and where it's converted into gas and organic fertilizers. And this was actually inspired by these women visiting a landfill site in Tripoli, where they saw that, in fact, 48% of the waste was organic. So they decided that they could do something about it. And their inspiring vision is to get one of these bio waste machines in every restaurant in Lebanon. So we really hope that expos like this will help them to get the exposure to achieve their amazing dreams. And then we have the picture flashed up, and they're one of the teams that didn't make it here today, is Hydrogreen. So Hydrogreen is this one here, and it's very relevant for the, I would say, the less rural and the more highly densely populated areas of Lebanon, where it's very difficult to grow their own produce. And this was also came from the GEAL program, and reduces water waste by 90%, which I think it must be a world first. Like, I mean, I don't know, but I've never heard of another innovation growing crops with a 90% reduction in water waste. And the good thing is they completely avoid the use of pesticides. So it's completely environmentally green and friendly. And they can cultivate year round. They can cultivate really high quality crops, which is great for food security as well. So we're very proud of the Hydrogreen team. The other team that we're very proud of as well, that I just like to highlight today, is eFarm. So eFarm, they take the waste from fish tanks and then they convert it into organic fertilizers for crops. And then I'm still getting it right in my head, the process. I told them I'd be accurate. And then return the water then to the fish tanks after they've grown the crops with the fertilizer, so that it's all actually naturally filtered. And this cycle has been shown to avoid all the harmful biological waste and produces beautiful 100% bio vegetables without soil, which is also really amazing. So I hope that you'll be as enthusiastic as me when you hear these stories about what young people and women can do. Of course, in addition to these stories, we have to look at scale as well. The scale of the issues in Lebanon and the challenges that we're dealing with are really huge. So in addition to these startups that we're supporting, we've also rehabilitated 7 agricultural schools and produced and equipped them with the necessary equipment and learning materials. So that in total trains over 3,000 youth per year. And we hope to scale that up again next year. So that's just a small sample of what we're doing.
Well, thank you so much. I see you are combining between youth and women in empowering, and this is very essential, actually. And while we see that what we went through is challenging, we saw a lot of initiative and support going on to really change this. Let's see with Mr. Nicholas what data is anticipating now for the future from your side, from WFP's data. We saw where we are now. Let's see where are we heading and how we can change it.
Well, you're asking me a very difficult exercise, because God only knows what we know the future of this country is very bright, but we don't really know when it will be so. All I can say is that at the moment, despite all the innovation, the initiative, the excitement that we're seeing today, and that UNICEF, the World, all of us and WFP are participating in, things are not really getting off the ground, essentially because of the overall economic situation. It's not easy to farm in these conditions. It's not easy to do business. It's not easy to export. And this is why we have a situation now where I believe almost 2.5 million people in this country, that's almost half the population in this country, is receiving food assistance, on a daily basis. This is the sad situation. So this is what we want to move away from. This is what the country should look like in future. We hope a very near future. likewise, this country has always imported 80% of its food. And this is something we have to move away from. And this is what, farmers in this country, the agricultural sector in this country, innovations such as the one that's showcased today should take us to. It's not going to be tomorrow, but it's to be built really with youth and women every day. It's also the time to move towards, a substitution and import substitution, because with what we see on the global food market at the moment, when you have to rely on imports to feed your country, you have now to rely on prices which are, skyrocketing. Lebanon has an issue with wheat and bread, obviously, because almost the entire imports of this country of wheat are from Ukraine or Russia. So there will be a very urgent need to supply Lebanon from other sources because and the prices are already 50% as what they were 6 months or 50% higher. So really to increase local production, to improve the conditions for local production, to make agriculture attractive to youth, to women, to very dynamic people, to create an economic environment that will be conducive to people, getting into the business, into exporting, into investing, is what's needed, really. Because what we want to move away is a situation of total reliance on external factors. I mean, literally on food aid, or when it comes, which is created by poverty, or even a situation where most of the food products have to be imported in the middle of a global food crisis. So Lebanon has an incredible potential, and it has to be developed. And today is a very nice day. I think a very good circumstance to be very confident that we'll get there. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I totally share with you the hope that we are seeing today and the initiatives going on. And I think part of this hope is also related to the initiative linked to youth and women as well. So I will come back to you, Ms. Eti, and focus on the youth. How can we support them more? What is next to reshape the future and to rethink about our food security, their engagement in the agriculture, making the sector more appealing for them, basically, and channeling them to this sector so we become more food secure, we have more availability, we have more accessibility for food and utilization as well.
Yeah, I think that's the $1 million question. But as Nicola mentioned, there's a lot of very important factors that need to be taken in terms of the enabling environment, the economic situation in the country. So one of those would be access to finance is absolutely critical. UNICEF and through the GEAL Lab and other partners is supporting all of these startups, but if they don't have the enabling environment, the legislation, the ability to export products, and as I said, the access to finance and banking, etc., then it is very challenging. However, we'll continue to do what we can as the United Nations agencies and others. I think there's a lot of attitudinal changes that need to take place that we're working on as well, making the agricultural sector more appealing and maybe less intimidating for young people and for women especially. So, lifting them up and providing the economic support, the support through Berytech and others, and including especially outside of Beirut was important to have a rural focus that's decentralized, helping them with their business plans and just building motivation and interest in the agricultural sector will be critical. I would also say that we're also working a lot as UNICEF on making sure that farms and other areas are safe places to work for women. So we're partnering with the International Labour Organization to reduce any risks of exploitation or other kinds of abuse that may happen on farms, because we know that it's quite a large informal sector. So we need to make it safe for women and young people to work in this sector as well. And I would say another point is supporting the youth-led social enterprises. I've had the pleasure to visit many really inspiring young people who are working in their communities, who have done their best to stay where they are, to build economic engagement amongst some of the most marginalized groups in the country. And we need to support these social enterprises and social entrepreneurs as well to really flourish, and to support cooperatives, women-led cooperatives as well, who want to find solutions within their own communities. And yeah, I would say this will overall help as well the dependency that Nicola mentioned that we have on importation of so many food products. And I think we can build on things like the locally, of course, we know now the global supply chains with problems with fertilizer. So building on some of the work that's been done on local fertilizers, etc., and helping the entire ecosystem to build more holistic solutions will be critical to really bring the innovation and action for women and youth across the country.
Yeah, perfect. And here I want to point on something. The ability of youth to digest technology and to adopt technology is way higher. So here innovation can be our focus with youth, I think. So how are you seeing this trend going on, especially in rural areas? Because I think this is where your focus is.
I mean, every time I visit some of the social enterprises and agri-tech startups that we work with, I learn something new. The pace of change is so fast. And I think that's one of the beauties as well of technology, is that can be shared technology transfer and ideas spread so quickly. So UNICEF has facilitated cross-regional visits within Lebanon, and even speaking to neighboring countries in the region to share ideas amongst young people. And they look beyond the politics, and they look beyond the backgrounds, and they look for solutions within their communities, especially through technology. So we're really seeing the rate of change accelerate. And I think it's a cliche, but we did see that during COVID as well, these changes through technology, maybe things that had already started were really accelerated. So we need to build on that momentum.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Dr. Armin, going back to how we can change our destiny and how we can push women to innovate more and to use technology more, to get empowered through technology and change this food security challenge we are facing.
No, I mean, I have to say a lot, like Etsi says. I mean, the World Food Program is not only helping people to have food to eat. And as I said, sadly now it's half the population of this country at this particular moment. But just like UNICEF does and many others, we're extremely active in empowering people economically in general, and in the agricultural sector in particular, and the tech sector when it's related to agriculture. Very similar to what Etsi explained with UNICEF. I mean, one example today really that's extremely relevant is what we call a food system challenge that WFP has launched with Veritech, and which is meant to support small and medium enterprises in the agri-tech sector to innovate, to export, to produce better. So it's a rather innovative system in its own. It's a combination of grants and technical support, expertise for those selected businesses which have been chosen amongst, as you were saying, lots and lots of applicants. We were very surprised ourselves that this should attract so much interest. And we're now starting with Veritech to work with them to develop their businesses. So we're doing reforestation, we're improving irrigation, we're working all around the country in what we call livelihoods programs to improve agriculture, to improve production, to improve the participation of of women and youth in economic activity, especially agricultural production. As UNICEF does, we have a lot of work. We're paying a lot of attention to the fact that women should be totally part of this and more than part of it, that if they come to work in these projects and to learn, they have facilities, for instance, so their children can be taken care of, and they are not in the first place not capable to join because they would have other things to do, and that even if they bring them, they could bring them. I mean, all these sorts of things which can make something succeed or fail, really, if we don't do what's needed. So really, on all sides, we contribute what we can together with other UN agencies, the World Bank, Germany, the BMZ, the German Development Agency, is funding this major challenge, this food system challenge. And so we really all extremely supportive, and I should say very optimistic as well as to the results.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Armin, back to you on the women's side. So what is next, and how women can be more empowered to change the destiny?
That's a good question. So as I was mentioning, that women are smallholders, it's a 10%.
Yeah.
And even within that one, most of their lands are under 1 hectare. So it's very risky for them. Even in the previous pre-2019, when you had a financial system was working, they will never have an access to finance. And as a colleague from UNICEF indicated, it's very important to have this access.
Right.
And as a smallholder, it's challenging. So what you need to do is promote aggregations of a woman coming together, or not only women, but also having more cooperative collective efforts. And then you provide different type of financial instruments. It's not like the agriculture is a very risky business in not only in Lebanon, in many other countries. So traditional financial banking system and the products are not always the products that will be cost efficient for the agriculture sector. In many cases, you need to provide the grant funding or provide concessional financing, reduced fees, or the guarantees that people will be willing to go into this business. And in Lebanon, it's also kind of an extreme case where the agriculture sector and the labor is not under the labor law. So the overall enabling environment is not encouraging people to invest, and they do it as a kind of a side job, or maybe, it's not the main livelihoods option for many people. So I think the overall enabling environment needs to be improved. I mean, at the same time, I think Lebanese people, I can be commended for the whole resilience during these 2 years of the tribal crisis, of financial crisis, Beirut explosion, COVID, and now the whole global crisis that the food prices are going to increase. I mean, wheat is already doubled the prices, and then fertilizers most probably will follow the pattern. So, there are many challenges are coming, and people really need to think about the overall enabling environment, how to empower the women, build their business skills, increase the access to finance, facilitate aggregations, and I mean, work on different solutions, because there's no one solution that fits all, no? So we can use some traditional approaches that work already and some more innovative pilots and see whether it works. Some will fail, some will work out, but we need an evidence to understand what from innovative solutions is working. And at the World Bank, I know I don't see Angela, we're having also a Mashrek Gender Facility that looks beyond the agriculture sector, how we can empower the woman, what are the needs and the gaps, and they're trying to address that. So it really needs to be, I think, collective effort, both national and international actors, and try to push the agenda further.
Yeah, perfect. I would like to go back with you as well, Dr. Armin, on the point of the digitalization of agriculture, since you worked a lot on this part through the Mashrek Gender Facility, World Bank, and as I recall, AUB. So where do you see the role of women in the digitization of the agriculture, and can we empower them to do more on this side?
Good question. So our digital agriculture journey started with AUB under the leadership of Dean Rabi Mukhtar, and from the Dean of FAFS, together with ESPA, FAO. We had also partners from the ministries in 3 countries. There was a cooperation between Jordan, Lebanon, and Iraq, and we had also the local universities from Iraq and Jordan there, and also representatives from ministries, international organizations. So it was very interesting to hear different views, what is the potential of digital agriculture. And we produced last year a publication that looks along the whole value chain, where exactly in a Mashrek context, the digital technologies can increase efficiency, equity, and environmental sustainability. So as I was mentioning before, women can both benefit from digital technologies, because some of the things can simplify their work, let's say, or inform, reduce their risk, or provide access to extension services. There's a wide range of technologies, and depending on the context. But again, to use it, you need to build capacity and the knowledge, so the capacity building is quite important to make them also the agent of the skill, and also break the stereotypes, because farmers are very conservative stakeholders. They like to use the practices that use their grandfathers, grandmothers. So unless you really bring and show the pilots and the field that this will actually really will improve your productivity, will increase your incomes, people will not change their habits. So I think here also the capacity building is very important for women to push for the change.
Yeah, perfect. I think as much as we have challenges, as much as we have opportunities to do better, to empower more people in this society to do better. I would like to leave the floor for you for any final note or any final thought for this panel. Ms. Etty, any final thought on this topic?
No, I would just say that, women and youth, they have some of the most amazing creative ideas and solutions that that often we haven't been mainstreamed, or they haven't been given the platform. So just to reiterate that from the UNICEF side, together with our amazing partners, we'll continue to elevate their voices and solutions, especially going through this difficult time in Lebanon at the moment.
Perfect, thank you. Dr. Armin, your final thought on this subject?
I think we need to be positive and to break the stereotypes that agriculture sector, it's not interesting for young people. There's enough already evidence that it is interesting. And now we need to create more enabling environment for people to engage and scale up their ideas.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Nicholas, the final word is yours.
Yeah, thanks. No, I think the issue of food, not to mention youth and women, is really a very, very central issue, not just for this country, but in general. So we need to succeed on this account. As someone who's neither a woman nor very young, I would talk to men and to older people, or at least to make room for women and youth to really participate in this big challenge, because the solutions are going to come from there. Thank you.
So thank you so much, our dear panelists, for the positive note. Actually, AFEED had a target to leave a positive impact and show what we can do and what we still have to do. So thank you so much for enforcing our target in this event, and thank you for giving us the time and coming to our venue. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.